Hi, it's me, Christine. Welcome to the review of Series 1 of my podcast, Unmuzzled at 67. So Series 1 was all about me sharing my life experiences with you from age 11 to 25. So I just want to highlight some of the things because I'm not actually telling the story now, I'm looking back on it. So if you're sitting comfortably, I'll begin. So as well as my life, I hope that I kind of touched on some of the things of being brought up in the 60s and 70s that perhaps maybe younger people wouldn't really know about, and that might have been quite interesting, I hope. But what is very apparent to me is that in my early teenage years, there is a thread that starts to unravel itself, and that thread is, I'm alone in this world. But actually, Cam has just reminded me that maybe I'm not, that I did have two really good friends that did look after me in exceptionally difficult circumstances. But outside of that, I did have friends. I just didn't trust people, and I just didn't let people in. Even after my foray into AA, where it's all about openness, I still found it extremely difficult to be like that, and I wasn't able to let very many people in. I was holding myself behind a mask. I was hiding behind a mask. Sorry, I didn't want people to see the real me. Because I was afraid of ridicule. I was afraid of judgment because in my younger years, when I had said anything, my mother would absolutely ridicule anything that I said. So that kind of stayed with me, and so that sort of emerged into the person that I became. So I created a character for myself that I thought would fit in, and this character was, before I lost weight, loud, funny, witty, happy, overweight, girl and woman. That's the persona that people expected from me, and I never disappointed. In fact, most of what I'm sharing with you is for the first time. As I've said already, you're the first people to know most of these stories about my life. Series 1 was challenging for me personally in many ways. Podcasting, for the first time. My God, that poor Cam, whose studio I work in and who helps me. Without him, I could not be here because although I wanted to do podcasting, I didn't look at the detail of what would be involved. And I didn't think about all the material I was going to have to write to be able to talk, hopefully, interestingly, for 20 minutes. I hadn't even considered that. So that was very challenging for me to do that. And putting myself out there, it's quite daunting, bearing my soul. But I have believed from the beginning, and I believe now, that I am the one who will benefit the most out of all the podcasts. So all of those were firsts for me, and I'm 67, don't forget. But I got through it, and I did enjoy it. So you can see that in the first series, there were real difficulties that I had to face for sure. But most had a positive outcome in the end. I got sober. I got to AA early in my life. I was guided through by a man who became like a family to me, the dearest of friends until he passed away. Anorexia was like a double-edged sword. I managed to lose a lot of weight and enjoy the benefits. I had never been slim in my life before. It was such a breakthrough. But being me, I took it to the extreme, which kind of spoiled the achievement in the first place. But I did screw the nut on this, and I did get through it, and I never gained weight again in my life. I loved and appreciated so much being slim. I never wanted to lose that feeling. So I suppose determination and a personal commitment to myself is what made that happen. I survived domestic abuse at a young age and never experienced it again. I knew the signs. And I experienced real friendship and support in some of the darkest times. Catherine, a real friend who walked the walk. And what an incredible experience that was, and how indebted I feel to her and her family. And of course, there were happy times as well spent in the gay community in Glasgow and in Jersey. I could have written a whole series on that part of my life. It was so socially carefree. There was no judgment, because I was very, very self-conscious about my weight then. But that was of no consequence in this world. I was able to escape my worries and in some ways my reality. It was crazy. It was hilarious and carefree. My mum used to say, "Those gay men will spoil you for a real man," as she put it. But in many ways she was right. And when I started to spend more time in the straight world, I found men boring, predictable. They just seemed to want to talk about football, golf, their job. And it took me quite a long time to adjust, because in the end, this was my world. Anywho, let's gallop towards series 2. This next chapter is my life from 25 to 60. And by the way, there is no sign at all of any maturity. I look forward to sharing those challenges of me negotiating the real adult world in series 2, and I really hope you will join me then. Thank you very much for your company today.